I guess I'll start. Your report today mentions your plan to reopen the district stations. Can you just tell us what stations are those? Are those just the 4 district stations, and why are we reopening them?
Well, so downtown will remain open, but the 3 external stations, EDS, WDS, and the North Station will open. The station duties will be open early 2026. A number of the members are already in place that will work in those districts, but there's still a few structural things that we need to implement before we can actually open the doors.
Do you have exact dates of any of them?
No, it's really dependent on some of the construction that's going on, and I can't really give you a firm date on it. I'm hoping very early 2026, and it'll be open to the public. They can come make reports there, come and talk to officers right in those stations.
And they can make police reports. Are there other things? I'm trying to remember the things they could do there, because these haven't been open in quite a while.
Well, we used to do records checks, whatnot like that, but that's been centralized, and a lot of that, the record checks are done online now. So it'll be mostly, well, even they used to take a lot of hit and run reports, but that's also online with collaboration with MPI. So the majority of the work will be to meet with the community face to face and to take reports from the community.
Chief Bowers, we've seen the number of homicides in the city, cut more than in half with I think it was 18 recorded so far. Tell us a little bit about what you think is kind of contributing to the drop in homicides that we're seeing here in the city of Winnipeg.
Well, that's a big question, right? There's a lot of factors that go into that. I think we're at 19 right now.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But again, homicides are really hard to predict, but as I said, violent crime is down. That may be a contributing factor to sort of the end result of a homicide. Again, we've had a lot of initiatives, especially with our MeView, our integrated violent offender unit, that is taking those people who are the most the worst of the violent of the most violent off the streets. So again, that may have a contributing factor. Our surge program as well. And again, there could be other societal factors that are in play here, because as we heard, seems to be a trend. I mean, we're ahead of the trend here in Winnipeg with the reduction in homicides across Canada.
Talk about, sorry, John, if you could talk a little bit about the budget ask, 370 million, roughly, more than 370 million. Why is it important, and kind of what role does having that secure budget or having that budget available in terms of size and scope play in keeping these kind of homicide numbers down, and frankly, other violent types of crime down? What role does it play?
Well, it's a huge role, because it keeps our members out. When we can get the calls for service down, then we can be proactive and be visible in the community. We can interact with the community better, and it gives them, instead of running from call to call to call, kind of putting out fires, that type of thing. So we need those resources. We need that budget in order to operate. Our budget is primarily salaries. We have looked within to make us more efficient, but again, we need that budget. My colleagues across the country and some of the other jurisdictions are actually asking for a lot more funding as well to do their core policing. So really what you heard today was right now to do our core policing, we need this budget, but also we do need 36 more officers because of the population growth and the calls to service, to make sure that we can attend to the citizens' calls for service. So it's a complicated formula for sure. Policing, unfortunately, is not cheap. I think it's roughly $1 million a day to operate in the city, our policing. So again, we really work hard to keep within our budget and keep our budget in check. And I think as we look across the country, I think we do a pretty good job.
You said the queue dropped to new lows. Do you know why that is?
Again, well, weather has a lot to do with it, but predominantly, our queue is lower than we've seen in my time in years. Again, there's all different initiatives. We're looking more of a collaborative response within the service to the queue. It used to just be our frontline members were responsible for that queue management. We have the whole service, jumping in and taking responsibility for calls. If it can be lower priority calls that we can have desk sergeant's phone and make contact with the public. That's helping. We have resources that have moved into the station duties that are overseen by the district sergeants. So it's a team collaborative atmosphere more so than it had been when it was centralized. So I think a lot of those things are helping. And again, it's hard to say one thing versus another. We do collect the data, and when the data flushes out, maybe we'll see a trend and can kind of put some specific initiatives to it.
Just so we can explain it, you still need 36 more officers, but you are keeping up much better. So if you can just explain that.
Yeah, and this has always been my thing is before we ask for more, we should make sure that we're doing what we can. And I think we are doing what we can. And but again, with the growth of the city, you look at the south end of the city, just a big significant thing is travel times affects our response times. So when we need those cars out there so that we're spread out amongst the city so that we can respond in a timely manner. When we don't have those resources out there, then it limits us in our response time. So we're trying to effectively deploy our resources throughout the city so that no matter where you are, you're getting a good response from us.
Does the city need a South District station?
Right.
Does the city need a South?
Well, there's been a lot of discussions about a south station. Definitely, if the world was my oyster, I would like to see a south station at some point. But there are initiatives in the works right now that we're trying to deploy our resources in an effective and strategic way so that we have a quicker response. Again, I think I wasn't in the executive when the decision to go to the 4-district model was decided upon. But what I have heard was they didn't expect the city to grow in such a dramatic way in the south side. So kind of was a surprise that, we all know how vast it is now. So it's a bit of surprise. So I think at some point you're probably going to have to see a south station.
What do you think of some of the items that were left unfunded in this budget that, seem to be being talking points, right? Like we've seen a column about, for example, body-worn cameras. The RCMP recently rolled out their body-worn camera first-year analysis. I think they even encouraged WPS to have those body-worn cameras, but no budget line. Why not?
Again, well, we're in a position globally, really, with the transition to technology. So we have our systems, say, for storage that are on-premise storage, which is very expensive. So we're at a point now where we're moving into the cloud. Into the cloud for storage. So both they have costs attributed to it. So now, as we transition, we're in the place where we have to fund both until we can actually move to another, to the cloud, which is where we would like to go for storage and utilizing technology. So so now we're paying for both. You know what I mean? So that's one issue, and I do think slowly as we move. So we have been moving with our DEMS, digital evidence management, which was we did in partnership with the province, which actually helped the RCMP deploy their body-worn on the back end of it because that infrastructure was in place for them because of the work that we were doing with the province. So the infrastructure's there. But now, with that infrastructure, we can plug in these different technologies like body-worn camera, for instance. So I would like to see us move on body-worn cameras. There are some discussions, with regards and how we can move towards outfitting our members with those devices.
Is it a target timeline? Are you looking one more? We have no more?
No, sorry, let's keep moving.
Okay.
Follow up to body-worn.
With body-worn, yeah. Is there a target timeline, or is there An idea of when you could actually do it? I know it's unfunded now.
Offense is too, I would like to see it sooner than later. We are in discussions potentially, looking at a pilot to move, because there's a lot of moving parts with the digital management of that body-worn camera, and we don't want to overload our members, our civilian professional staff, or the courts. So, but I would like to move on it sooner than later. It's something that, we have been working on.
So 2026, you think body-worn cameras coming to Winnipeg Police Service? Can you commit to that right now?
Well, I could commit to a pilot in 2026.
There's going to be a pilot in
would
2026
think so.
to be already, was that previously announced?
No, I would like to see how about this?
Okay.
I would like to see a pilot in 2026.
Do you have funding in that budget to do that then, or?
Again, I want to get into the specifics of how that would work.
Okay.
But there's other ways of doing it other than, there's other ways that we could run it.
Okay.
On the following up on the case involving Officer Bostock, in the agreed statement of facts, there were a number of other officers named who have not yet been charged. What is their status right now?
Well, I can tell you, the file was reviewed and where there would be any criminal charges. Those charges were laid. In cases where there aren't criminal charges, then that goes into an internal process within our service, which is ongoing right now. So I can tell you that I can't say much about the Bostock's case per se and the other members charged. I don't want to affect any of the outcomes in court. I can tell you, though, that Mr. Bostock is not part of our organization anymore. Other than that, I would, I can speak to this later, but I don't want to affect anything that's going to happen moving forward in the courts.
But in terms of, you said all the charges that are going to be laid have all been laid. So none of the other officers named are facing criminal charges.
Correct, but they're internal charges, yes. Yes.
We keep leaving district stations, but I wanted to know how many staff it's going to take to reopen them and how much it will cost, because those were always the concerns before
Right.
in not reopening them when the previous chief decided not to.
Right.
Yeah.
So, again, we've divided approximately 5 members per district. Don't hold me to that, but we're utilizing members who are in accommodations. So again, they're members that, so there's no extra members going to it. We're utilizing our members in a way where they can, take those reports and, be public facing in that respect. So it's not, there's no additional resources.
No additional cost then either?
Well, there's some additional costs as far as the infrastructure within those facilities, yes.
Okay, but you don't know how much overall?
Again, I couldn't give you a hard number on the cost, sorry.
Back to the issue of the ticket fixing. What changes are being made to prevent things like this happening in the future?
Okay, so again, I don't want to get into specifics because it's going to lead down into some of the stuff that's before the courts. But what I did mention is the e-ticketing is one thing that we have been working on for years. That again will increase the integrity of the system. Definitely, also the efficiencies are going to go up for our members, for the courts, and for the public, quite frankly, because issuing the tickets will go down in time. The time that they'll have to be at the road with the vehicle and the person, they won't be detained in that situation as long as they normally would. So once we get used to using this system, we're still learning it. So I think those efficiencies are going to come the more we utilize the technology.
But how will that prevent future abuses of the system?
Well, so initially now what happens is that information goes directly into our system, into our niche system, our records management system. And then what happens is that information is recorded at the time, and then that will ultimately be transitioned into to the courts electronically, but currently there's a process that we have to work with the province to get it all electronically, so it'll be smooth right through.
Are there any other changes that you're looking at making that you can talk about now?
You know, there are changes that we're doing. I want to assure the public that, again, the majority of our members are dedicated. They work hard. They want to do the right thing for the community. But the times when people do step out and, commit criminal offenses, that's my job and my executive's job to weed that out and hold them accountable. But as far as, strategies that we're taking, I'd rather leave that for another time. Again, I just don't want to start getting into the weeds because of the court case.
Sir, respectfully, you're asking the public body for $370 million, and at the same time, you're telling us that officers who were involved in what was blatant police corruption are still with the service. How can you kind of reason those things when it comes to the public trust? Asking for $370 million, but still allowing these folks who are, were involved or at least observed, police corruption, still not getting charged by your service. Like, how do you justify that?
You have to have the grounds to charge somebody criminally. I did indicate that there's a internal process that's going on for the people that.
But it's not public. We the public will never hear.
Correct.
So,
well, again, that's something I've addressed. I know what you're saying about the internal process, and that's something that I've spoke with, that I mentioned in previous interviews regarding our internal process and what we can do to increase transparency to the public. I did mention that the members that are on charge are not on duty. They're suspended without pay. Mr. Bostock is no longer with our service, and again, that process is still playing out, and our internal processes with regards to policy and those things are being addressed within our means and our process that we currently are guided by.
Any other final questions?
There was a recent news report about a man who says police racially profiled him at the Home Depot store on Regent. This happened on Wednesday. He says he paid for a leaf blower. When he got into his car to leave, officers pulled up behind him, pulled him out of his car, told him he was under arrest. He tried to show them his receipt. He says they still, looked, basically they detained him thinking that he was a prolific shoplifter who was somebody else who was later arrested. Are you aware of this case?
The particulars, no. This is the first time I'm hearing of it. Definitely, I guess if that gentleman, wants to proceed, he can go through LERA. He can contact our professional standards unit as well if he wants that looked into. I don't have details of that incident. I'm sorry.
Just a rapid response unit. Your chief's report mentions that it's coming. What is that one, and was that announced before? I don't recall it.
I've mentioned it. Again,
okay.
It's a realignment of our resources. We're in the mix of a reorg right now, so I don't have real hard specifics on what that's going to look like. There will be an announcement on that later.
Okay. You said it would alleviate pressure from frontline officers and guns and gangs unit officers. Do you know how many officers would be in this group?
Again, we're just working on all those different details. Yeah.
How should we describe it for now then, I guess, if we were to note that it's coming?
I guess it's a unit that will kind of like a utility knife, like a unit that can address, when we're having, say, issues in a certain neighborhood that we want to send some attention to. So, or even for protests, it's a unit that's a flex unit that can be. Their mandate will be taking those lower priority calls when they're free, going to protests, and then addressing, different things that are happening in the community. It could be, they could help with shoplifting initiatives that we're doing, those types of things. But, it's a flex unit that we can move quickly and address crime trends within the city.
Supervised consumption site location is being announced today. What are your thoughts on having a facility like this in the city?
Again, we're there to ensure the safety of the community, and that's what we're going to be. We're engaged with a plan for security with other partners in the community to help once that facility opens.
Does that mean officers will be stationed nearby or patrolling the area?
Again, we're working out those different details again, how it looks with our partners and us, but definitely there's discussions going on.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.